All right, well, welcome again to today's webinar. My name is Alex. I'm going to be hanging out with you here for a little bit today. I get the privilege of doing these advanced webinars about once a month that go over not necessarily, Aplos specific type things, but broader concepts that we want to handle that most of our customers can benefit from. So in the past, we've done ones on donations or creating donation pages or even journal entry, debits and credits and stuff like that. Today, specifically, what we're taking a look at is how to manage multiple organizations using Aplos. Since you're here, I will go ahead and assume that you've been to our website at least at some point. So you know that Aplos focuses on a couple of main products. We've got an accounting product, which is a fund accounting product, which is specific to nonprofits and churches. Then we have a donations product, which allows you to kind of, in conjunction with the accounting, set up online donation pages to receive money online, as well as enter the donations that you've received manually. And then we've got an e-file product, so you can file the 990N or 990EZ form. And then we have another product called Donor Relations, which focuses more on kind of your relationship with your contact type stuff. So sending emails, tracking relationships, and that kind of thing. But all of those are kind of our main products. So those are what customers come to our website to sign up for. They can use one or multiple of them. And then that's kind of where it stands. Now, for some people, though, they have need of doing those things, but for multiple organizations. There could be a number of reasons for this. You could be a bookkeeper. You could be a CPA that kind of, has multiple clients that you need to kind of pop in and do things for. You could be a multi-chapter nonprofit. So a nonprofit that you have one, EIN number, you file one tax return, but you have multiple, sub locations or chapters or something that are kind of spread out. So you need to manage each one kind of individually, but roll things up into one consolidated software. Multi-site organizations, so either nonprofits or churches. If you've got, again, kind of one organization, but split out among multiple geographic locations, as well as district oversight. So if you have if you are a part of a district where each entity is kind of separate, so each, organization has its own EIN and own operations, but you all kind of are under this umbrella of a district or a zone or, a geographic location to where there's kind of someone that, needs to either get a report from the different chapters or access to the financials or something. That kind of roll up is something we can help with as well. And then international organizations, we have a few of those as well. So your kind of base camp here is in the United States, but maybe you've got chapters in multiple countries, each needing their own operations, their own, financial record, but everything kind of comes back to the main hub. That is what our oversight product allows you to do. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at here today. If you go to our main homepage and then scroll down to the bottom, in the Get Started little column down here, there's something that says Multiple Organizations. If you click on that, that'll bring you to our Oversight page. So you can kind of scroll down here and see some information on what it can do for you. You need to manage more than one organization. You want it to be easy. You want it done right. And then down here are some different oversight features. And then, like all of our products, you can actually get into the software for free. You just need to enter your email address, and then you can get started with your own free oversight account. So now I'm going to take you through what that product actually looks like, and we'll go through some use cases on each one of those kind of reasons why you would need oversight, and then what it can do for you. Okay. So once you sign up for an oversight account, you're going to land here, which is your dashboard. If you are a current customer of Aplos, everything is going to look pretty familiar. On the left-hand side, you've got your navigation to move around the other areas of the software. And then your dashboard is kind of the roll-up, aggregate of all the information within it. But it's a little bit different for oversight, where your dashboard for oversight is where you can create new organizations. So you can add a new, completely different entity or new, organization that needs to have its own books. You can also manage them, and then you can jump into them as well. So you can see kind of from top down, I've got the ability to add an organization here. I can manage tasks, which we'll cover here in a little bit. I can kind of filter to see who I can see, but then below that are all of the different organizations that I have access to, either that I have created myself, setting up their account for them, or that they have allowed me access to. And for each one of these, I can click on accounting and dive into that particular organization's financial records. And this is everything unique to this one nonprofit. There's no bleed. Each one can't see each other's information. When you're in this particular nonprofit, you are in their their full set of books. So now you can navigate around their software. You can take a look at their settings, their contacts, their reports, their accounting records, their chart of accounts, their donations, and so on. That is completely their account. If you ever want to go back to your oversight, all you need to do is go back to the dashboard and find the top here and say back to oversight. And that will launch you back up into your oversight account to where now you can jump into the next person. So here's Downtown Church. I want to go to them. So now I'm auditing their particular organization. You've also got a navigation here on the dashboard on the right to where you can jump in and out of different organizations without having to jump back to your oversight as well. So you would add a new organization. You can then jump into each one there. Or if you just want to take a look and kind of see how things work, you can also create a sample instance right here. So let's go through a couple of use cases on the different types of people that would be using this software. The first bucket I want to cover is bookkeepers and CPAs. So, or even auditors for that reason. So you guys are a service organization. So you provide some sort of service like managing their books or some sort of oversight to where you're, taking a look at their account and providing guidance or, consulting services, things like that. But you have clients. And either those clients are coming to you saying, hey, I need help. And so then you set them up with an Aplos account to manage their financials, or they're coming to you already and maybe they already have Aplos and they're just looking for a bookkeeper. Either one of those situations, they would be listed here in the bottom, and then you can jump in and out of their particular instance to manage their financials. There's another little thing that we've added here, which is the management console, which is pretty cool. So for each one of these organizations, you can click on manage. And that brings you to kind of a management dashboard, if you will, for that particular organization. So you can add a couple of things here. You can see their organization details, like their name, when they were signed up, when did they validate, what's their expiration. So you can kind of keep tabs on that particular organization. You can also see any notes that you've added for them. And these are internal notes. So you can say, talked with Alex and he said to, follow up in a couple weeks about something. You can add that note. You can also search for the different tasks that you've set up and then any time logged. So within this date range, 1/1/16 to today, I have logged, total of 52 seconds or minutes, whatever that is, in that account. So if you are a bookkeeper, auditor, CPA, someone that's tracking the amount of time that you use per client in order to bill them accordingly, this time logged would help tremendously with that. And then you can also see what users are associated with that account as well. These tasks, let me go back to the dashboard here. So these tasks are things that you can set up to kind of accomplish per, month. So you can say here, let's say if I'm a, bookkeeping service and I want to, enter transactions and save. And then I want another task that is reconcile with the bank, save. And then the last one of, pull reports. So I can add these tasks. And now each management kind of screen that I go to for each one of these clients, I will have these tasks available per month. So I can go in here and say, for January, I entered transactions and I reconciled with the bank, and then I pulled reports. So check, I'm done. Or let's say for February, I have entered the transactions, but I have yet to reconcile with the bank and pull reports because the month's not done yet. But I can go in here and say which tasks I've completed, and then back on the home page, you can add a column here using this little orange plus button to add in other information that you want to see for the different orgs. So you can add in their revenue, expenses, their net, assets, liabilities, how many new donors they've had, whether or not you're rolling up their reports, which we'll cover here in a little bit. Time logged, you can see that there as well. Task status, and then exchange rate, which we'll go over here in a little bit. But here's my task status. So now for the month, for February, or for January rather, there's January. You can change that date range up here at the top, but I can see the status of each one of these clients and what tasks I have done for each one. So I can see that enter transactions is done for this particular organization, but I can see clearly that it is not done for these other ones. So I know what to do. So as you go through here, again, you can change the date range to, February 1st to today to see what tasks have been done as well. So now I can see that February's tasks are done there, but the other ones aren't. So anyway, so that's kind of the management console that you can use for each client. So for bookkeepers and CPAs, that becomes really important. Another thing that you can do as you are kind of creating more clients to use with Oversight is you can also create a uniformed chart of accounts that you can customize to your liking so that each new organization that you create will automatically get started with that chart of accounts. So you don't have to rebuild it every time. All you would do is from your dashboard, you go into accounting and then click on accounts right there. And then you can build your chart of accounts right here. So you can set up your funds, you can set up your assets, your liabilities, your income, and your expenses. You can create account groups, you can create sub-accounts. And then once you're done, once you've got this created, then what you would do is you would say lockdown if you want them to basically prevent them from making changes to the chart of accounts. Otherwise, each new organization that you start with will automatically now start with this chart of accounts that you have created. So now when I go to the dashboard and I say add organization, I can add in my client and whether or not I'm going to pay for them. And then I can say create, and then they will be created with that chart of accounts. Okay. So that's kind of bookkeepers and CPAs. Let's now move on to multi-chapter nonprofits or multi-site organizations. So these are organizations that have, again, you're kind of one entity, but you have multiple chapters. Okay. So we have an organization that is a state parks association that uses us. So they have kind of the district or the state, state office, the main office, but then they have all these state parks throughout the state that have their own financials. They've got their own, donors and, whatever, but they all do particular programs. They all have similar operations, and they all at the end of the year need to file one tax return with all 50 plus different chapters rolled up into one. Well, for those types of organizations, you're going to do a lot of the same. The management status might be helpful, but probably not, since you're not necessarily taking action on each sub organization. They're kind of just doing their own thing. But what is helpful for those organizations is back in the chart of accounts, you can say lock down. So this means that when you create the chart of accounts, whatever you want it to be, you can click lockdown, and now that sub-organization cannot change their chart of accounts whatsoever. When you create a new organization, you can add the ability to roll up the reports for the organization as well, which means if I go to reports and I run an income statement or a balance sheet or contact list, this is going to show me my uniformed chart of accounts. So again, that chart of accounts that you've created and every single sub-organization has started with and is using. It rolls up that chart of accounts and then it pulls together all of the figures from that account across all of the sub-organizations and puts it into one income statement or one balance sheet. So that state parks, at the end of the year, they need to file a 990 EZ or a full form 990, but you have to have your income statement and balance sheet across everybody. So instead of mailing or calling or emailing those people and saying, hey, send me your financials, and then doing a bunch of work to kind of fit everything into one consolidated, standard, everybody is on the same page. So everybody's using the same chart of accounts. They've got one reporting module here that they can use to pull that data from all of the sub-organizations for that date range, and then they're off to the races. So also, if you have that feature as well, but you allow a little bit of flexibility, so let's say, you allow your chapters to edit the chart of accounts to create, different expense accounts or whatever else that they need, then all you would do is just not lock down the chart of accounts, but the roll-up reports is still happening. So what it would do then is you would run an income statement, and it would be the chart of accounts that you've created, but then anything new, like any expense account that they've added would be added to the report as well, so you don't miss anything. Okay. So that's kind of a multi-site church or nonprofit. Multi-site churches get a little bit different, which we can talk about later if you'd like. That gets into maybe a different product that we are coming out with here pretty soon. But two other examples I wanted to go over are district oversight, which is basically the same as what I was just saying. So if you're a district, we have some district churches, like a church denomination that uses us, where they have to submit or at least have some sort of standard with their district and then kind of roll up from there. But they're kind of autonomous. They can do whatever they want. But sometimes they have a district bookkeeper who keeps track of all that stuff. So in this case, the district bookkeeper would have their oversight. Each one of these organizations is its own separate church. Again, each one has its own subscription cost. It's got its own users. It's got its own financial data, whatever else. So each one is maintained separately. But the district then has oversight to jump into each one. They can pull reports. They can make changes. They can, keep up with different tasks or things, and then also create them with a standard chart of accounts if the denomination had one, right? And then the last little feature here is internationalization. So if you're a nonprofit that has chapters in different countries, then what you can do is click this little box here to add a column, and then add the exchange rate here as well. So exchange rate, allows you to pick the country where this is coming from. So let's say that this, animal shelter exists within, MOP. I'm sorry, I'm not real up on what the what the symbols here are for each country, but you would select what country it is, which sign here, and then you'd say get, and that will get you the current exchange rate for that currency as of right now. So now when you go to your reports, all of the figures that they have been managing within their organization here for this animal shelter, right? So they've got their, income or whatever else. If you go to the consolidated reports and run the income statement, it's going to apply the exchange rate automatically to adjust their figures into the U.S. currency. So that means that each organization can operate in their local currency. So, you can use the peso, you can use the, whatever, the pound, whatever, wherever your organization exists, they can use the current currency, and that way their figures are not exchanged all the time, and so they kind of really don't know how much money they truly have because it's all converted. They can manage their own currency. It's just now on the reports you can now consolidate that, apply the exchange rate, and then see how everything rolls up for you. All right. So those are the different types of organizations that would use something like this oversight here. Again, bookkeepers, CPAs, auditors, multi-site or multi-chapter nonprofits or churches, district oversight, and international organizations. You can do things like task management, so you can set up different things that you would do on a monthly basis. So at any given time, you can kind of see where you're at as far as your task list goes and interactions you need to have with these particular customers. You can also have roll-up reports. If you wanted your reports to roll up, you can see who's a part of that. You can check who's a roll-up report right here. So I want, all 6 of them to roll up in my reports. So I check that box for them. That then rolls up into the oversight reports here. You can also have a unified chart of accounts. So you would create the chart of accounts and be able to have that be the starting chart of accounts for any organization that you add. And then you can apply currency exchange rates as well, so that if you operate in multiple countries, you can have consolidated reporting with exchange rates applied automatically. All right. Okay, last thing I want to cover here is pricing. So pricing for oversight gets a little bit, I don't want to say complicated, but it's a little bit different than how we normally operate. So again, how we normally operate is each one of these organizations has its own subscription cost, okay? So let's say Animal Shelter might be $40 a month. Celebrate Regen might be $55 a month. Downtown Church might be free. Guys and Girls Club might be $70 a month, whatever. So each one of these has its own subscription cost based on the products and things that you need in each separate one. So the pricing for oversight then is really dependent on one thing, and that's whether or not you are paying the bill for one or multiple of these sub-organizations. If you are not, if you are, say, a bookkeeper and you say, well, I want you to use Aplos, but you pay for the software, then each one pays for themselves. When you create an organization, you would say, no, I do not want to pay their invoice. That then sets them up with their own trial, and then they are responsible for then paying their invoice. So if that's the case with all of these, where they are paying their own invoice for Aplos, then the cost of Aplos for oversight is zero. Okay, zero. There is no cost to you to use this tool. The only cost for oversight that is applied is if you choose to pay for these organizations. So like the district oversight or multi-chapter nonprofits or something, it might make sense to do the billing consolidated. Or even if you're a service company like a bookkeeper or something, and you want to pay the bill and then kind of make that software cost a part of what you charge your clients, you can choose to do that as well. You would just then, when you create an organization, say pay invoice, or if you've already got one created and you're not, then let us know and we can change that for you on our end as well. But then the cost to you is now the total of their subscription cost. So you can see here, I've got 6, they're at 30, 30, 15, 15, 30, 30. The total to me is $150. Okay, that's what I would pay if I was paying for all of these, which I am, I guess, or subscription owner. No, never mind. So that would be the cost to me is this 150. If you have multiple organizations here that you're paying for, once you cross 10, so once you have 10 organizations that you pay for, not total, but that you pay for, we do have some pricing discounts. It starts at 10% once you pass 10. But then past that, I will admit that I'm a little shaky on our pricing, but we do have that written down somewhere. So if you're curious about that, let us know. Send us a contact request or give us a call or something and say that you're interested in what bulk pricing is for oversight. And then we would be happy to get in touch with you about that. But the easiest one is just 10% for 10 organizations or above. Okay. All right. Well, that is kind of all that I've got for you. Hopefully that this information has been helpful. But what I'd like to do now is open it up for some question and answer time. So if you guys have any questions on oversight, feel free to submit those in that question field that you were taking a look at here earlier today. If you are joining us after the fact, if you're watching this online or something, then thanks for taking the time. And if you have any questions about oversight or anything else Aplos, feel free to email us at support@aplos.com or give us a call using this number here, 1-888-274-1316, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. So let me mute myself for just a minute or two to see what comes through, and then we'll answer those questions.